Welcome to Emuna is Our Future with Just Be You. This is the Emuna is Our Future. We're just getting set up, exciting, and I appreciate you all joining us this week on this hot day in Jerusalem. Welcome to Emuna is Our Future with Just Be You. Yes, we're beginning. We're ready to go. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Today is a hot day in the summer. We are still summer days. That's right, even though it's Elul. It's a special time in the calendar. We've spoken about it already, and we've already spoken about some beautiful concepts of Emuna and getting ready for Mashiach and Uman. It's been going all around the internet. Ami Magazine wants to speak to Rav Shalom Arush today, and there's all kinds of, thank God, good things going on in those ways, even though it's been very troubling and difficult for the people trying to get to Uman. But the energy, the motivation, the feedback is mostly positive. And whatever is not positive, we're going to hopefully today work on as a collective online. We have the power wherever we are in the world. We have, Baruch Hashem, we have to thank Rav Shalom Arush for hosting us today in his beautiful studio in Yerushalayim, in the holy Jerusalem, and Chut Shel Chesed Brez of Israel. That is our Mostas, that's our institute that we are all part of. Thank God. And you can join and partner with that anytime. Now we're going to go into something which is so real and so thankfully blessed, because it's something which was revealed through my soulmate, my family, the people I love. And when something comes out through those ways, through our beautiful people that we're connected to and close with, hopefully if we have family and we're blessed to have a soulmate, we're blessed to be connected with someone who's beloved by us, then we're able to reveal very deep and profound concepts which are actually quite commercial, quite universal for our generation. For example, just be you, just be you. Who said this? So my wife, the story was, and that's who I'm saying when I'm saying my soulmate, was in the park, and we go on our weekly walks, and my son was talking to her, and she was saying, I just really feel very, very unique here. Like I've got my own style. She was a fashion designer before she came to Israel, and she has her own approach to how she expresses herself in a beautiful way. And people were like, different a little bit to how she felt, and that's how she feels about it. So my son said to her, just be you. Just be you. Those are the words that came out of my son. He's only, I think, 11 years old. He's just had his cast come off, Shmuel Zam and Mordechai. Ben Masha, we had prayers. You guys prayed, and the prayers worked. Rav Arush prayed. My Rebbe in Jerusalem, Tom the Rebbe, prayed. And all my friends and family prayed. And the power of collective prayer, his arm is healing very smoothly, thank God. And he's even able, like I said, to have the cast on and off. And it's a different Zalmi. The Zalmi, what does Zalmi say? He said, just be you. That's what he said to my wife in the park. So you guys have to think about, what does it mean just to be you? And I do apologize for a little bit of a late start. That's thanks to our video guy. He had a puncture on the way here to set up. But, this is all supposed to be this way. And that's why we always say 2 p.m. approx, because Israel time is always approx. You never know for sure, when we're going to begin. So too with this Tuesday night. Make sure we remember Rav Yonatan Galed. Rabbi Yonatan Galed is coming into our studio in English. He's going to speak English with the Rav. We already have his classes up now again. Very excited. His weekly classes. And please God, we're going to have Rav Elgod here also to translate Rav Arush. And it's going to be exciting between the three of them and myself. I have the merit to also sit here as an MC. And we're going to go together on a journey into, please God, into universal Emuna. This is the key for the new year, for Rosh Hashana, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot that's approaching. We're only less than 3 weeks away. Unbelievable how time is flying. And that means also only 3 weeks till Rosh Hashana, Yom Adin. I remember being by holy people and they would get very emotional at the idea. So what would be the best advice when it's such a big time coming up? And like we said, we have these beautiful classes at weekly level, and Tuesday night, maybe Rav Arush might be here next week, because we do hope to have this in black and finale, bring in some other, please God, some friends of ours to come in and really round off our 12 Emuna classes QA with Rav Arush with a big bang, just like having Rav Yonatan Galed tomorrow night. These are very important moments that we can share, and we can bring it into our weekly classes, which is great. So the idea that we're heading so close to Rosh Hashana with such an opportunity. And like I said, next week we don't know for sure, but the idea just be you is so fundamental. That's what my son said to my wife, and that's the key that I'm going to share with you today. It's a very profound principle in Avodas Hashem, because everything, I was saying with my wife, that everything we do is spiritual, really. Everything has a root level which binds us to Hashem, and we were learning already what's the kavanas of Elul, what's the inner aspect of Elul from Rabbi Nachman and L'Kutei Moharan. We were learning in his Torah, in Pei Zayin, in Tanya. I don't know why I have trouble with that word, it's interesting. But the second chelik of the L'Kutei Moharan, the second part, we have there in Pei Zayin in 87, the Da. He says the Kavanas Elul is going on this tikkun of our holiness, fixing our holiness, and that's why, please God, people are really going on their way. And Nosim B'Yam Derech, they're all trying to travel right now to where they need to be for the big day, for the day where we need to tune in to the source level, to the soul level, to be one with our Creator, so that we know how to go ahead the new year. But what is the key? I keep saying it, just be you. That's the answer again and again, because when we look at these holy, holy words, we're like, oh my God, this is powerful. And Arizal explains this idea, la'ir, bechinas derech b'yam, this deep ideas. And then in Chodesh Elul, there's these big kavanas, and we're fixing up very deep things. And more we go after Hashem, the more our soulmate comes after us. And the more our soulmate comes after, the more we go after Hashem. And it's like a growth, a positive momentum to begin the new year in such a mindset of oneness with the people around you. Like we're speaking many times in our weekly class, and also in my podcasts of we have Unity Flow podcast and the Relationship Flow podcast, these two beautiful podcasts, including our Brez of Israel podcast. And we are going ahead with this idea of there's a flow and there's a united soul experience. We're all connected, we're all bound together in oneness. This is the truth of our reality, of who we are. And that's why it's so important to tune in to the people, as Rabbi Tatz once taught. You should really listen carefully to the people that are speaking in your ears, your wife, your soulmate, whoever is in your life, your sphere of influence, your children, your parents. Everything is relevant. Everything is b'hashgacha pratis, divine providence. Everything has a flow. And therefore, when you tune into that, then you can understand a little bit what the messages are. So when my son said to my wife, just be you, and then my wife told me that should be a good theme, or maybe I said it myself, but however it was, of just being yourself, being comfortable with yourself. I'm not going to say how my wife understands it, because she has her own deep soul and her own deep explanation, and I can only really talk for myself. I can never really talk for other people. Like when I was trying to explain Arush, people were asking me, how can, so I said, I can't really explain it. That's the point. I can't really explain the Tzaddik's words. Only the Tzaddik himself can really talk for himself, unless he put it into writing or he's guided a student specifically on that point. But so too with my wife, I don't feel comfortable sharing her inner struggle of just be you. But for me, the inner struggle of just be you, to stand on Rosh Hashana and to be able to have Yom Adin, or we want to turn it to a Yom HaRachamim, a day of mercy. We said it's Shabbos, the shofar's blowing, it's a special time during Elul leading up. We're sweetening all the judgments. We spoke about this already the last few weeks. So now we're standing there, Rosh Hashana. What should be our avoda? How should we feel? We just have to be you. You don't have to be somebody else. It's very important. We know the famous story of Zusha. Some people say it in the name of other tzaddikim, of the literature tzaddikim, Yisrael Salanta. It doesn't make a difference which path it came from, because it's truth from both paths. That's one of the things also. Unity. Unity in Torah, unity in spirituality, unity in teachings, unity, thank God, in the Jewish people in the world. We need this strengthening and unity. That's a very big brand and point for me personally, the Unity Inspires project. But the whole concept of joining together and being yourself, that was Reb Zusha or Reb Yisrael Salanta's idea, that when they go up to heaven, they're not going to ask you, why weren't you Reb Melech? Why weren't you some other big righteous person? Why weren't you Rav Arush? Why weren't you Rabbi Nachman? Why weren't you this? Why weren't you that? You just have to be you. That's all it. Be Eli Goldsmith, or whatever people call me. Some people say Rabbi, some people Eli Eliezer. I've got lots of names. Laser Goldsmith, Laser G, whatever. There's lots of names somehow from the online world. Midnight Rabbi. Lots of names have come together, and it gives me encouragement, thank God, that people are remembering a little bit some of the message, some of the points, like the idea of the Midnight Rabbi. I was just on a podcast, or not really a podcast, a Zoom chat, a Zoom community. I spoke about it already, and that's the picture of my friend Jeff Powell with myself talking together online, and thank God, an online platform where we could discuss a little bit what it is, the journey I've gone on and who I am in Jeff Pulver's life and the community there. And the Midnight Rabbi was something that stuck in his mind all those years I spent on the street. And it's very important to just be you. I can't be Jeff Pulver. I can't be anyone else. I can't be the famous people out there. I can't be Nissim Black, even though I love him, and I definitely encouraging his new album and new music release, new single, Rerun, and all the other good things he's doing, and I'm always trying to help him. We just had him live at Leva Torah, and please go to other programs. The idea, we're always encouraging people, but for ourselves, we have to tune into who are we? Who is this person that you've been given? Who is this soul? Who is your personality? Tune in to those inner voices. And that's what I'm going to be writing in my book, United Souls. I'm going to be putting together a very deep concept of inner journey, of understanding more and more the soul level. So my soulmate pointed out, this is what I wrote in the description, that on our weekly walk through the park, that my next class should be on the Just Be You focus. We're going to go inside, this is what I wrote, to the root level of the human soul. How can we just be you? That's the question. This is the question of the class. And when is our future with just be you? How can we just be you? What does it mean to be you? Yeah? Be your soul, explore your inner thoughts, desires, wants, and needs. So that's what we're saying. This is be your soul. What does that mean to be your soul? So there is a very famous concept of that you're enough. This is something which people talk about, you're enough. We know with Brene Brown, we know the idea of daring greatly, and she has some other books now, and she's putting out podcasts, and this now it's doing very well. The idea of just being yourself, of being vulnerable, and at the same time being courageous, to be yourself, not to be what society wants you to be, or your family or friends, even if it's something good, but if it's not you, if it's not authentic, if it's not a true, transparent experience of yourself, then how can you stand? Like, this is where we're getting back to Rosh Hashana. How can you stand? How can you prepare Elul, where you're constantly checking yourself, and you come to Rosh Hashana, just like it says, Ma'aser Behem, you have to check the animal, every 10 animals, check and make them into a Ma'aser. You give that 10th to charity, that 10th of the Behemoth to the Kohanim. So too, with ourselves, we have to check ourselves constantly every day during Elul and come to a point where we're more in touch with who we are. And then once we're more in touch with who we are, then we can really stand on Rosh Hashana and be ourselves, like Zusha said. So I have to just be Zusha. I don't need to be anyone else. I have to be Rasul Salan. I don't need to be the other big Rabbonim around him at that time. He doesn't need the mind of them. He doesn't need the heart of them. He needs to be himself. And that is the challenge of acceptance. We talked a lot about the recovery world. It's such a powerful guiding light in our generation. Unfortunately, with the Corona challenge, and it's still going on, unfortunately, that's part of the reason there's such a balagan in Ukraine, not only with the political reasons, but there's also, unfortunately, because of the Corona challenge, it's made a certain, fear and control from people, so it's limiting our ability to go around, and it could be justified as long as we keep the rules in the best way. I don't know if it's justified, but the point is, without getting into those kind of points, by just being ourselves, to be real legit, so that wherever we are Rosh Hashana, we might not make it to Uman, we might not make it to our Rebbe, even if we have a Rebbe like, say, Karlin, they have to daven at home or in outside minyan. They can't all join together like every year with their Rebbe. And where is Rav Arush going to be here with the Kehillah? He says he wants to be, and obviously he's always loyal to his people that he's close with, his community. And it's always this whole thing going on right now. It's like it's quite an intense moment before. Like we said, Tishrei is like Shabbos, so it's just before the time of Shabbos. It always gets a little bit intense, as they say. Gedalia Fence has been talking about it in his week classes. We put up his book list, but he also spoke about the idea that during Elul, there's a lot more tension generally. And now this year, it's compounded. It's, just before Mashiach's coming. We spoke about Rav Arush's ideas, the idea that Mashiach's coming, so there has to be the Ikvus of Mashiach, the Chevlei Mashiach, the birth pangs of Mashiach. So it's a very intense time right now. So to be yourself, it sounds so simple, just be you, so that I'm enough, and to be courageous and to be real about yourself. This takes a lot of inner strength and inner understanding and self-awareness, which is something which I thank every day. I have a wife, thank God, who I feel so self-aware, and hopefully it's rubbing off for me a little bit. Like I said, I'm going to be putting out a book where I'm going to hopefully formulate these concepts. United Souls is going to be bringing it down. The soul level of just being yourself is a very soulful thing. It's not some physical, psychological animalistic thing. It's a very spiritual thing, understanding who you are, this soul that you're given. It's something that actually deserves time, just like people need to learn Torah. And I always used to say when I was in yeshiva, it doesn't say Seinu or something like that. We should learn our Torah. It's like just some general thing. For everyone has to do this and be robots and do the same thing, keep the same rules. It doesn't say that. It says your Torah. Everyone has his own chalik, his own portion of godliness, his own portion in the Torah. And when you understand that Torah is the blueprint of creation, and everything is coming through the Torah, all the light in the world, and when you learn Torah, how important it is, it brings down such a level of sweetness and mercy in the world. Just by learning Torah, we read just a few lines from Rabbi Nachman about how the Kavanas Elul, b'yam nosim b'yam derech, we're going on this path. When we just read these beautiful concepts that he's speaking about, we're attaching ourselves into our godliness, into the mind of Hashem Kiviyochu, like the Balatanya says, we're becoming one. And this is a very deep, profound concept. But what it allows us, for you and me to do, is to understand that we have a godly path, when we have a godly portion in our being. So it's not a physical thing or people say a very emotional, fluffy thing to understand yourself, to be more mindful. Even though the world, thank God, is tuned into these concepts. Obviously, for a Torah person, for a Jew who are now sharing in a universal way, we have to understand that these concepts are very profound and deep, because the soul level, the chelek elokayim mamish, this spark of godliness is infinitely deep. It's really a chelek, it's a oneness of Hashem. That's why we were talking about this whole unification. If we tune into that concept, and then we're standing Rosh Hashana realizing that we have this within us. We don't have to be down on ourselves. There's no excuse on any level to get down. It says on Rosh Hashana, Chedvas Hashem, He Yozevechem. Excuse me if I didn't get the pasuk 100%, but trying to do it from memory here. Chedvas Hashem, He Yozevechem, says a beautiful concept, says the Chosam Sofer, that around the words Chedvas Hashem, He Yozevechem is these ideas of letters around Chedvas. It's joy, with joy that Hashem won't abandon us, that we're always with Hashem. Within those two letters is Yud K, is the idea of godliness. Inside the days of Rosh Hashanah is a tremendous godliness, like the shofar pouring out from an inner place. It's a very inner experience when it means a Yom Adin. The moon's not revealed Rosh Hashanah. It's something much more hidden that day. It's a chesed chayom chagenu. It's chesed chayom chagenu. It's a covered day, as we said. We said in Tikka Shofar Godel. So the shofar is blowing, and it's this special covered day that we have to reveal from within. So that's why it's very important right now to do a bit of inner work. When you're saying the goodness of Rachamim, we're saying the 13 attributes during the Slichot. Sfarim already saying it. Ashkenazim are starting another week or so. This is Parshas Kisavos, the Parshas Nissim, the next Shabbos Shlichos. We have the opportunity to tune into the Yudus Rachamim. This Yudus Rachamim is a very inner experience of godliness. This is really big keys to us to understand. Why does it sweeten the judgment? What's going on? It's not some like voodoo stuff or some agra kadabra or whatever you want to say it. It's a real experience of our inner godliness, of who we are. We're really very spiritual, all of us. Every person, everyone listening to our class, please God, we'll put it out there a bit more, give it a bit more of a push, and people should hear and tune into that. Just be you is a very profound concept, and my beautiful son said this because he has a beautiful soul, and he's able to tune in and say to my wife, just be you, don't worry, you don't have to be like anyone else over here. You just be you, you be your unique spark. Express yourself in a unique way for your creativity, for your fashion, for your personality. Express my own classes. I'm not trying to imitate Rav Arush. I can't even if I tried, I wouldn't do a good job anyway. And I can't just say I'm the mouthpiece of Arush. People said that many times, and big respect to them. They're the mouthpiece of Arush. But you have to be individual. You have to be individual. You have to have your own chalik, your own portion in Torah, and you have to be proud of that. That's a godly spark. We're not robots here. No one's marching, like robots. We have to listen to our Rabbonim. We have to have respect and Munas Chachomim. But we have to be honest and true to ourselves, and be very real that we have our own godly spark, and to really tune into it, to start to uncover some of the blockages. And that's part of that whole process right now. We're revealing more and more who we are, that we're godly people, and that's part of the revelation of Mashiach. Mashiach isn't some some political funky thing like Trump or whatever, some big, reality TV show, and it's going to be all fun and games and fireworks and God forbid everyone talks about these horrible apocalyptic, how I don't even know how to say it, thank God. All these horrible like visions of the future, like even though it says in the prophets certain ideas, but remember that's from people who are wholly godly when they're saying such visions. They're not saying it from an angry, messed up place. They're not saying it from some doom. They're holy people, very gentle and neshamas, souls. They're people like the holy rabbis, but even on higher levels, because they were all the way back at the beginning when there was prophecy in a open, revealed way. And it's going to come again, such an idea, this idea of prophecy. But the idea of the concept of having a sensitive, beautiful, refined soul, of having not anger, God forbid. We have to go far away from anger, to go far away from from honor. We have to appreciate spirituality is a very beautiful, wonderful, gentle thing, like a sunrise, a sunset, all the colors, the flowers, the trees. It's beautiful. It's Gan Eden. The soul is warm. It's encouraging. It's loving. It's words of oneness, and that's the idea of Emuna. Is a very sweet thing. You see by Rav Arush, such sweetness. We can't imitate it, but we can learn from it. And halavai, one day we should understand what it means to be davik to Hashem, to really have devekas to chachamim, to know what it means to be davik to a rabbi, not to like put on a show, but to be be'emes, to be honest with yourself, who you are. I know myself, I'm not like such a righteous person, like I'm in the world, I'm involved with things, like I said, music, and I'm involved with entertainment, and so I experience a lot of the world as well. It's not just for me all day Torah. I wish I had that time, thank God, a certain time in my life where I was just all the time and learning and davening, and I appreciate those special days. But that's not always what Hashem wants from us. He wants us to be able to deal with bills, but in a soulful way. He wants us to deal with people around us. The guy comes late. He's a soul. He had a hard time. He had a puncture on the way. I'm not going to get upset. It's not his fault. It's not my fault. We're all together. There's meant to be these delays. There's meant to be struggles. Like going to Uman is struggles. It's meant to be this way. It's all about bringing out more of a soul level and to be able to go to a higher plane and not to worry. And I don't just mean physical plane. I mean a higher level on how we think, to think on a more bigger level, to allow our soul to enter. And our soul really is expanded mindfulness. It's a tremendous expanded consciousness. It's a soulful experience. Remember, Daniel Katz talks about the elevation experience. I haven't seen him around so much. I'm sure he's around somewhere. But the idea is this opening up our mind and our heart to Hashem. This is something which is very profound and deep. Now, there is some pressure from outside for me to stop because, Baruch Hashem, we were late. So, I didn't pressure them, they pressure me. And that's part of my soul tikkun. But the idea, we're going to end off this class just to remember, just be you. Don't try to be someone else. As we said, be your soul, explore your inner thoughts, desires, wants and needs, talk to your soulmate, talk to the people around you, develop more of a voice of your soul, hear your voice, share your voice. So we have the power online now to share it en masse, to have an experience of united souls online, to experience what it means. We all join together. And this will be the best preparation for Rosh Hashana, Rosh Hashana and the new blessed year. A kasiva chasima tova, because when you're being kosev, when Hashem's kosev and chotem, He's writing and sealing on your soul for the new year. He's sealing on your soul level, on your neshama. It's not some game. It's not some like point thing or some fantasy or like, this scary judge. It's a realness, it's just becoming more and more real of who you are and experiencing your realness and with all your lacks and all your needs and everything, becoming one and crowning Hashem, making Him the melech, the king over everything in your life, that He's the boss, and you have a complete appreciation and you say, thank you Hashem. Parshas Kisava, we'll end off with this concept. Parshas Kisava is Parshas Bikurim. There's 50 times it says Yetzias Mitzrayim in the Torah, going out of Egypt. He's a very profound soul, going out of all the physicalness and becoming more soulful. 50 times in the Torah. What's the 50th? In this week's Parsha, the climax is to say, thank you Hashem. That is the climax. The chorus atop, to bring the Bikurim, to bring this first fruit and say, Todah Hashem, Todah Rabbah for the whole year, Todah Rabbah for life, Todah Rabbah for these first fruits in the temple, Todah, whatever it is, Todah Rabbah for the shir. Thank you Hashem. That's what Todah Rabbah means. For anyone who doesn't understand Hebrew, learn Hebrew. It's not so hard. At least the basic words so we can all communicate Todah, Shalom, all these nice things you can say underneath as well. Share these classes. Join us with Rav Yonatan Galed and Rav Arush, Baruch Hashem, hosting us in Emuna class QA tomorrow night. Share this light of Emuna in the world so that we can have a very real Rosh Hashana this year, a very real Yom Kippur. That's the Corona challenge, turning it into a real experience and accepting Hashem's control on everything and allowing yourself to be one with yourself and to just be you. That is the key. The keys to Rosh Hashanah this year is, as Shmuel Zalman Mordechai, my holy son, said, just be you. If you be you, It's going to be good. It's going to be sealed because you is beautiful. You is one with godliness. You are a soul. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to our next week Emuna class before the holy days ahead. Thank you so much.